Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Bad Education, a Taiwanese thriller from 2022. I discovered this movie through a simple Google search, just for recent films to watch. I was intrigued because it was apparently nominated for some awards, and even won a few, somehow. So on the night of their high school graduation, 3 delinquents decide to exchange their darkest, most unspeakable secrets, and this eventually leads to a life-threatening night that they will never forget. So, first things first, Bad Education has probably the most obnoxious opening 30 minutes that I've seen in a film in years. So let us count the ways here. Alright, so we get a close-up shot of people, and anybody who's seen this channel for a while, you know I hate this with every ounce of my body. The opening shot is people eating in a very sloppy manner. To the point of not even being realistic. Like they're shoving shrimp in their faces, and they're kind of acting like, if I could just show you, it would be like really close-up shots of the person's mouth, and they're eating shrimp like... It's like, I cannot stand scenes like this in movies, and there's a few that have done this before. So automatically, right off the bat, I'm getting pissed off at this movie. It's a terrible opening shot. Horrible. Then we immediately roll into a completely gratuitous sex scene involving a cab driver and a woman in his back seat. And these characters show up again later, but their only interaction with the protagonists early on is just getting glass bottles thrown at them, right? And speaking of our protagonists, they're completely worthless, obnoxious, and wafer thin, with no discernible character development. Now, that never changes at any point in the movie, by the way. But this is one of those very rare instances where I was hoping that our protagonists would die throughout the film as things moved along. But that's not all. This nonsense gets even better, right? So it goes for all-out exploitation trash early on, right? It's showing one of our protagonists, and I can't even say the word, R-wording, an underaged, mentally handicapped girl. Yes, it's like these filmmakers are trying to be so edgy early on, right? Too bad that scene was never fully earned, and it has little impact on the actual story, and we'll get to that in a minute. Now, I've seen like a ton of offensive movies over the years, right? Many of which I've reviewed on this channel. Hong Kong Cat 3 movies, Japanese exploitation films, representing a good chunk of those. Some truly reprehensible stuff. Fictional stuff, of course, but still. But I enjoyed some of that stuff. However, you can make those movies entertaining by crafting bad guys who have some semblance of personality or depth, or by creating tension or entertaining interactions with their victims. The makers of Bad Education, on the other hand, basically, they go in with this plan. Let's be as obnoxious as possible in an effort to royally piss off the viewer. And that's all they're trying to do during the opening half hour of this movie. So I guess congratulations on that. You succeeded. But now what? Okay, so at this point, I'm kind of settling in. I'm like, okay, it's one of these types of movies. All right, so let's see what you got. Let's see where we go here. I mean, these are our protagonists, and they're completely reprehensible human beings. So let's see where we go. Maybe this outlandishly confrontational, edgy content is going to amount to something. So I'll just say this. These incredibly edgy filmmakers don't even have the guts to address the potential consequences or story possibilities that would result from the opening act of the film. Instead, they take a step back during the middle section, like, oh, don't worry about any of that stuff in the opening half hour. We're just subverting your expectations. This film is actually a mainstream commercial thriller involving gangsters. Now, yes, I was infuriated by the opening act and how it was executed, but the filmmakers actually make it worse by not owning up to it and failing to continue that original story they were going for. So this movie just feels so desperate to get a reaction out of the viewer, Then the middle section of Bad Education is just like a basic mainstream thriller with basically obnoxious protagonists. I mean, they're obnoxious the whole time. And I'm still hoping for these douchebags to just get severely messed up by these gangsters who are chasing them. And in addition to that, these main characters cause the situation that they're in. For no good reason, they just do something. And it's like, well, yeah, You deserve to die. I mean, really. They're 100% responsible for their lives being in danger. You know what I mean? And I have no sympathy for these pricks. So they deserve everything bad that happens to them. But again, in terms of actual entertainment value during the middle section, there's no highlight set pieces, just some basic chases and scuffles on the streets and alleyways, and there are a few attempts at black humor that are thrown in that really clash with what we got in the first half hour. Then we come to the final act of this film, which actually follows up on the stuff that was happening in the second act. They didn't just jettison it. So, okay, it continues, and it takes place in a sushi restaurant, which is interesting for a little while, primarily because this new character who shows up, nicely acted and somewhat charismatic. He's a gangster. And I'm like, ooh, okay, I wish this guy was in more of the film, because he's like the only charismatic character in the entire film. And I'm like, all right, so what's going on with this dude? And I was getting kind of interested, but then that last act just drags on, and it becomes so repetitive. It's like you're dealing with the same thing over and over again. So man, this film, I did not like this film very much, as you might expect. It's just obnoxious, it's shallow, even a little bit pretentious. It is. But if you want to check it out, it's streaming on Netflix. And as always, folks, I'll see you next time.